Now since I have a basic idea of how I want it to look, I'm gonna start 3D modeling it. So this design I've been working on for the back of my submarine, this is a little like prototype or like something I want to work on. So the key points in this prototype is the thing that is going to hold the motors itself, as you guys can see right there. So if I press the back of the submarine, the motors are in this little holder. You also see two rudders. So this is the vertical rudder, it's going to turn it right and left, and then this is the horizontal rudder that's going to help it with diving and going up. And then the propeller, I also changed the propeller. Before it was about 3.9 in diameter all over, and then now I brought it up to 4.5, so it's about a 0.6 inch difference now. And I made it bigger because in scale to the next to the back of the submarine, it was a little too small, and I thought it would affect it, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, this is the design I'm working with. After I sliced it all, I wanted to check how long it would take to print, and it came out to be 3 hours. But I had the issue. My 3D printer was broken. Even though I tried fixing it multiple times, it never ended up working like right again. So I'm just gonna try to get a new 3D printer once I save up the money for it. So until I could fix my 3D printer or buy a new 3D printer, I'm gonna have to put a pause to my submarine.
3 weeks later, many months later.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
After around 2 months, I finally bought a new 3D printer. So this is the 3D printer I went with. This is the Adventure 5M from FlashForge. It was actually a really good printer. It's listed as one of the best ones in 2024 and 2025. And also it was kind of cheap. Well, I got it off a discount, so yeah.
Alright, so this is the first actual print. Before I did a test block print and it worked pretty well. So now I'm printing out the top of the submarine where the propeller attaches to the back. And these two holes right here are for the motors.
So here it is after printing, and it came out super well, and it only took 6 hours, which is crazy because it originally was going to take over 22 hours to print.
I just printed out the middle part of the submarine. This is where the motors go. These little holes are where the rudders go.
So we got the bottom piece finished, and I also attached the part that holds the motors and the gears, and this attached to the shaft, and as you guys can see, it spins. It's a little bit hard because of the gear ratio, but once there's a motor attached to it, it should be fine. And then here's the top part. This is the first design for the top part. I might change it later on depending on how it looks at the end once I finish printing out, because right now it kind of looks like a silo. Once I finish printing out the rudders, it should look a bit better, but then the propeller just goes on top of it like that. And then there it is. So here it is after printing one set of rudders, and I actually really like how this looks. This was my second design for the rudder, and it came out really well. So now I'm about to print out the second pair, and it's a little bit lower, but yeah. This is it after I printed out all the rudders. I actually like how it came out to look. It looks pretty good, and all I gotta do is just attach the motors inside, and then the back of the submarine should be finished. Now it's time to build the ballast system. If you don't know what a ballast system is, here's a video of it. So basically in this video, it should start where that submarine sink down. So it just takes water from the outside and brings it in inside. So then that makes it so that the submarine could sink down. And you can control this with motors. So that's what a ballast system is. So guys, here's my design that I've been working on for my ballast system. It consists of a motor and a gear on top of it, and then 2 rat gears, and then holders for the 60 milliliter syringes. The rat gears are going to attach to a little stick inside the syringes, and when the motor spins through it, the rat gears are going to move forwards and backwards, making the syringe pull in or shoot out the water. So while that's printing out, I'm going to start working on something else. So for those who don't remember, my first design for the engine that was going to propel the submarine was with these motors. So I went from a 755 motor to a brushless motor. Alright, so I just finished the code and testing the wiring circuit for this, and I put this on a breadboard because I didn't want to make the PCB for it and like mess it up. So now we're gonna test this out. So this should turn on when I plug this in. it's gonna go up a little bit. Oh. So yep, so now we know it works. So to understand why I chose a brushless motor over a 755 motor, first you gotta know the differences. So brushless motors use an electronic controller to power coils around the shaft, creating a rotating magnetic field that interacts with permanent magnets inside of the motor. Unlike brushless motors, DC motors actually have brushes inside of the motor to communicate to the switch of the current direction in the windings, creating a continuous magnetic field that interacts with the rotor's magnetic field to produce a rotation. And here are some pros for both of the motors. Since now I'm changing the motor I'm going to use, I also have to change the code. So here's the code I used for the receiver before. As you see right here, this is the code that controlled the regular DC motor. Now I have to change it and include the servo code, or I use servo code for the brushless motor. So the way it works is that the master ESP32 sends it to the receiver ESP32. And then once it receives the message, if the Y value is over 3000, the motor will run forward, and if the Y value is under 2000, it's gonna go backwards, and if it's in anywhere in between, it's just not gonna go. So that's how the code works. So now I just gotta replace some things in it, and yeah.
In the next video, I'm gonna put everything together.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.